I used to have gout. The assaults came pretty much consistently and they were essentially dreadful. Presently, I haven't had an assault for over 2 years. I don't think I'll ever have another until the end of time. Even from a pessimistic standpoint, those assaults were handicapping. I couldn't move, I couldn't get down to business. I was unfit to get up because even the smallest development of the influenced zone was past excruciating. I couldn't rest appropriately with bedclothes, which, in a cooler climate, implied turning the warming up in the house. Not happy for my better half, not useful for our vitality bills. The reasons for gout, and the genuine reasons for gout. After my first experience with gout, my PCP gave me the standard clarification of its causes. He said that gout was brought about by an abundance of uric corrosive in the blood. Uric corrosive is a result of the preparing of specific nourishments. The uric corrosive originates from the liver as a waste item. It's sent to the kidneys from where it should be expelled from the body. I had gout because, more or less, gout is the thing that you get when your body isn't removing all its uric corrosive. The overabundance uric corrosive structures little, spike-molded gems. Those gems get into your circulatory system. From that point, they discover their way into your joints. Also, every once in a while the insusceptible framework assaults them. Also, when the insusceptible framework does that, the irritation that outcomes are experienced as a gout assault. Otherwise called agonizing, terrible torment. On the off chance that you experience the ill effects of gout, at that point, I genuinely feel for you. I comprehend what you're experiencing. It's been a little more than 2 years now since my last gout assault. However, regardless, I recollect what it felt like. Anyway, that was the specialist's clarification of gout. Up until this point, so straightforward. Gout just deteriorates. Over the principal year or so my gout assaults went from one assault every 1 or 2 months, to month and afterward, sporadically, 2 at regular intervals. I began with the standard medications, hostile to inflammatories, steroid pokes, medications to diminish the uric corrosive in my blood. Truly, in spite of his best aims, I think my primary care physician was just giving things a shot. Medications are offered as much in trust as in the desire they'll do anything. Be that as it may, in any event, when a medication benefited I realized I was simply dealing with the condition. What's more, I understood that for some gout sufferers this was the situation. They could swallow any number of pills, infuse as a lot of steroids as their bodies could deal with, and evade each presumed bit of nourishment and drink. The fundamental issue, the real reason for gout, was still there, making a wide range of issues for the body to manage. I pursued common do and don'ts. It's ordinary stuff, practice more, shed pounds, eat a reasonable eating routine, whatever that is, eat less red meat, don't smoke, I never have, go 2 or 3 days per week without liquor. What's more, it had unequivocally no effect to my gout by any stretch of the imagination. Even though, to be completely forthright, if I knew, at that point what I know now I wouldn't have wasted time with any of that. Posing the cumbersome inquiries. My characteristic interest provoked me to pose inquiries about this infection. If uric corrosive prompts gout, at that point, for what reason did I all of a sudden have an excessive amount of uric corrosive in my blood? All things considered, it bodes well that either N, I was abruptly delivering a lot of it, or B, that my body just was never again expelling it successfully. Furthermore, things being what they are, the appropriate response is B. Truth be told, for 90% of gout sufferers researchers state it isn't overcreation of uric corrosive that is the issue. It's the underpreparing of it. At the end of the day, something's turning out badly with the body's capacity to oust uric corrosive appropriately. So I was very baffled. Here's the way I contemplated it. Sometime in the past, I hadn't known about gout, considerably less experienced it. At that point, I had gout for a little more than 3 years. And afterward, 2 years back, I encountered my last ever gout assault. Furthermore, I never endured another. So, for various many years of my life, my body took care of the uric corrosive viably. Abruptly it could never again deal with that corrosive appropriately, thus I wound up with gout. Quick forward following 3 years of gout and by all is well. I'm without gout. It doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to work this out. Keep in mind, it isn't so much that I'm creating a lot of uric corrosive that is the issue. It's that I'm never again expelling enough of it from my body. So from the outset, something in my body was working, it was disposing of the uric corrosive. At that point, it quit working. So I got gout. At that point, it began working once more. The agony vanished, there were no more flare-ups and I was totally solid again. Be that as it may, there it is, I had gout since something had quit working. What's more, it's that something that had quit working that a large portion of our PCPs is neglecting to address. If we discover what it is that quit working, and, at that point began working again, at that point, we've discovered the way to close your gout until the end of time. What I currently know, yet didn't know at that point. I haven't had even a murmur of gout now for more than 2 years. What's more, this is because, in contrast to most sufferers, I found a professional who handled my gout from where it began, rather than simply dealing with the manifestations. When she'd done that, the issue of my body not handling uric corrosive appropriately was finished. By gout. I'm going to enlighten you concerning her methodology now. In any case, first, simply make certain about this. In such a case that you endure gout, this most likely is your experience as well. When my primary care physician chose I had gout, he adhered to a standard example of guidance, prescriptions, and medicines. Specialists all over America regularly center around 3 unique ways to deal with the gout issue. Initially, since uric corrosive is the result of the nourishment we eat, they take a gander at dietary limitations on nourishment, for the most part on red meat and liquor. The reasoning is that if less uric corrosive is being created, in any case there's less for the body to manage. That sounds much more reasonable than it is. Second, gout patients attempt tranquilizers that handle the uric corrosive that is now made it to the circulation system. The point here is to enable the body to carry out its responsibility of dissolving this abundance. That meets with unusual outcomes. Be that as it may, more terrible, it's managing the abundance uric corrosive, not the motivation behind why there's overabundance uric corrosive. At last, different medications are offered to handle the agony and irritation of gout as it emerges. Once more, these arrangements with what's going on, however, not why it's going on. In any case, superficially, this is consummately reasonable. Be that as it may, there's a significant issue here. For whatever length of time that the accentuation is on handling gout at the point where the sickness is as of nowhere and they're moving, we're not tending to what set it moving in any case. We have an inclination that we're accomplishing something helpful. In any case, we're tinkering at the edges of the issue. Which is the reason gout can, and regularly do, continue for quite a long time and years. However, it doesn't need to. Gout has hazard factors. Things get a minor piece more terrible. During that first visit, my PCP revealed 2 different things. What's more, I didn't care for both of them. To begin with, he brought up that every gout assault makes another assault more probable. When you've had a couple of assaults, that is about it. Prepare for gout as an ordinary thing. A few people that have had assaults of gout over a more drawn-out period can wind up building up an increasingly incessant, or persevering, type of gout. It's called ceaseless tophaceous gout, and the agony and loss of versatility are life-changing and impairing. At that point, he disclosed to me this. Gout is a hazard factor for different conditions, some of them considerably more genuine than gout itself. At the end of the day, since I had gout, almost certainly, I'd get at any rate one of those different conditions. What's more, those different conditions included coronary illness, especially cardiovascular breakdown and strokes. He included that gout was additionally a hazard factor for corpulence, type 2 diabetes, joint inflammation, stress, and various disagreeable different conditions. Also, there isn't a point of confinement on which of those distresses I could end up experiencing. It may be that, in time, I contacted only one of them. Yet, it could be 2 of them. Or then again 3. The probability of my gout being a hazard factor for me enduring those at the same time shocked me a considerable amount. I had a feeling that I was simply sitting tight for another thing to turn out badly with my well-being. One day things truly turned out to be excessively A little more than 2 years prior I had a gout assault that was so agonizing I was crying. I'm not one of life's criers. However, I had released it on for a week and was in so much agony I sincerely began addressing whether I needed to live. I returned to my primary care physician, turned out he was on an extended getaway. So I saw one of his partners. She was a decent woman. Astute. She tuned in. What's more, she could tell I was severely influenced by this most recent erupt. We had a long discussion and she enlightened me regarding an expert who works in managing gout. Appears this specialist had an alarming record with for all time finishing gout for her customers. Not decreasing it. Evacuating it. That specialist's methodology was checked both in principle, in test and, in actuality. She put together it for 3 years of science originating from driving specialists in the US and Europe. The examination's achievements in handling scope of well-being conditions are mounting up, and for certain years now the medicinal network has been re-evaluating a portion of their most crucial thoughts regarding how the body functions. From that exploration, she had made her gout methodology that is presently having such significant outcomes for gout sufferers. My PCP, let it be known, wasn't her specialized topic. So she gave me the name of that elective well-being specialist she'd referenced. Also, that is the point at which I originally knew about Shelly Manning. Also, if it's not very sensational an announcement to make, what I gained from Shelly transformed me. We also drastically reduced the chances of catching something even worse. We know that if we don't address disease properly, things tend to get steadily worse. Which is the last thing we want? Now, then, is the time to act. Click the link in the description and get your copy of The End of Gout with 60 days money-back guarantee.